Alexandra's really happy. But not everyone has voted yet, not because we don't want to, but because there are some challenges. So my first question is, what is the long-term impact to Tesla on this Tesla shareholder vote?
Thank you, Daren, and thank you to everybody who voted. Vielen Dank, alle, die schon mal jetzt abstimmen konnten. Ich habe mal ein paar Fragen, weil Sie ja viel aus der Schweiz und aus Deutschland und aus Österreich sind. Wer konnte bis jetzt noch nicht wählen? Können Sie bitte so? Das habe ich mir gedacht. Okay. Und wer davon ist bei Flatex? Ja, wunderbar. Und wer ist bei Schweizer Banken? Ja, die Schweizer haben das hinbekommen. Okay, und jetzt die Deutschen? Wer ist bei... Ja, da sind wir. Also ihr müsst wirklich weiter pushen. Pushen. Die können das alle machen. Ja? Die wollen nur nicht. Und wir können das, also ich kann so viel schreien, wie ich will, und ich schreie einen Haufen, das ist keine Frage, aber wir bekommen das nur hin, wenn ihr anruft, wenn ihr den Chat schreibt, wenn ihr die E-Mail schreibt. Wir brauchen auch Beweise, warum sie es nicht machen. Und ich erkläre gleich warum, ich mache es aber auf Englisch. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for your attention. I'm doing this in English because it's going to be transmitted obviously on X and on YouTube, and I want everybody to understand what's happening. But if you need some more in German, I'm most happy, or in French, I'm most happy to answer your questions afterwards. Why is this vote so important? Well, there are two reasons, and they're mainly legal, and we need to understand them. The first one is the compensation package from Elon that was approved in 2018, more than 5 years ago, and that has been put at a challenge by this Delaware judge. And we need to make sure we show that we support Elon and we supported that compensation package. It should actually be very easy. Thank you very much. Thank you. And let me give you a little bit of background on that one. So in 2018, those who could vote were 70% institutions and only 30% retail. And despite that, it passed with 73%. So when you hear people say institutions are against Elon, that's not true, and that was not true in 2018. Some institutions are, some vocal institutions are, but the large majority is for it. This time, we have actually much higher chances to get this one approved, but that's not the end of it. So let me explain that to you. And I'm sorry, I will get to the 5 years in a second. So why is it more complicated this time? Well, the good side is we're more retail. We're now 47.5% retail of those who can vote. So we're much stronger, and only 52.5% institutions. The second thing is a deal is a deal. Come on, people. We've signed for something, and we're not giving up for something just because a judge now found it wasn't how she wanted it to be. So that's the second point. But the third most important is, in hindsight, nobody believed at the beginning this could be done, but now we know it was done. So pay the guy. He deserves it. So there are only... Thank you. And so this is actually you. You know, I'm just your mouthpiece. I know you're all thinking that, so let's do that. So the one thing you have to understand about the compensation package is that if we voted with a large majority, there will be two more steps. It is not just approved because we approve it. If it is approved, then it has to go back to the Delaware court, a different procedure called 204, and it has to be reinstated. So this is not the end of it, but that larger majority votes for it, the more easy the 204 is going to be. I suspect that there will be some 9 shareholders that's going to put that in question as well. So just know this is going to take more time. The second thing is that the current judgment in Delaware, the one that we all know about, is going to be appealed. Tesla is going to appeal it. And if they can go into the appeal saying, look, we re-voted and we have a large majority for it, the appeal is going to be much more likely to win. Okay? So that's why I want you to keep on those German and Swiss and Austrian brokers. Every vote counts. Just please don't give up now. We still have 2 weeks to do this and get this done. So that's on the compensation package. Much more consequential is actually the Texas redomestication. So I want you to manage your expectation because much more unlikely to be won. Why is that? Well, because for the compensation package, while Elon and Kimball cannot vote, the basket of votes that are underlying is only casted votes. So, and I do expect that to pass. For the Texas redomestication, we need half of all outstanding votes to vote. So we have about 3.2 billion shares outstanding, and that would mean that 1.6 billion shares have to be voted. And well, you're all the proof of it. Not everybody can vote. And if you can't vote, it counts as a no. So the Texas vote has a different underlying basket. The basket is all outstanding shares, not all casted votes. And that makes it so very, very difficult. But again, expect it not to pass. It will be represented. Actually, in this year's proxy, Tesla has already inserted phrasing saying we can represent this and represent this and represent this. That's why I want you to think whether you want to leave your broker or bank if this is not possible. Because in 6 to 12 months, the Texas question will come up again. And you will have to vote on that again. And so please ensure that by then you are with a broker there where you can cast your votes. Okay, so that's it for the current votes. Now the question you asked, and I'm sorry, Daren, that I used this to put the picture, is how consequential is this for Tesla in 5 years? Well, we all want to keep Elon, right? Who wants to keep Elon in Tesla?
Oh.
And that is it. Now, that is exactly it. That is it. And so if you are convinced you want to keep Elon, well, show him some love. So I do believe Elon wants to stay. I mean, we all have, obviously, Robotaxi Day coming up in August. We have so many other things coming up. So I don't think Elon is going to leave. But we should do our part to make it as easy as possible. Because we're going to discuss now in the next 10, 15 minutes what's coming up in the next 5 years. Make sure Elon stays. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexandra. K10 or Brian, anything to add?
Thank you. That was great. Really good. Yeah, everyone, I'm so thankful for Alexandra and what she's done. She's really informed us a lot. I think, really good job.
Now, we all are here for our love for Tesla, from our friends like Hao Ming trying the Model Y for the first time on left-hand drive, to Luca, who was so kind to allow me to experience the original Tesla Roadster. Now, all these machines, these beautiful machines we see around here, are magic. But the real magic of Tesla is the machine that makes the machine. How many of you have visited a Tesla factory before? Show of hands. Fremont factory, Giga Berlin. A lot of us, about almost half of us. That's how much love we have. And you see on the stage on the left, Tesla Bots. So I'd like to ask K10, what is the impact of Tesla Bot to Tesla manufacturing in the next 5 years?
This is a really good question. And I think for all of us who are paying attention to AI and robotaxi and the bots coming up, I think we need to consider what's going on in the environment of the whole world. I think there's a lot of different companies making bots, right? And if we look back in the history of what Elon was doing, there was a point he was at Stanford and he realized the dot-com boom was happening and he dropped out to be part of what was going on. So I think for me and a lot of us here, we could say that Elon's a really good visionary. He's ahead of the curve. He's way ahead in the vision of what's going on. So they're going to start ramping up the bots. I think there were some people on stage earlier, they're saying, when do you think FSD is going to be full packaged here in Germany or in Europe? And people raised their hands. And I think on average, most people voted maybe 3 years. But what we're going to see happen is Elon's going to be transferring to working on these bots. And what we're going to see is this machine that makes the machine. And so Elon's referenced that a bunch of different times. And And what he sees is the packages, he's been reiterating these different gigafactories. We've got the one in Berlin, Shanghai, we've got the one Fremont, we've got the one down in Texas. And now there's a lot of talk about this cyber cab that's coming. And we're going to see that August 8/8. But what's going to happen is when Elon started making these gigafactories, he underestimated how much the human hands can be used inside of this. So they were making the low volume cars. We had the Roadster come out, we had the S come out, and then they went to the medium volume cars. I mean, X is in between there. And then we had the Y, and then we had the 3. And now we're going to be moving, I think, what we're going to be calling the cybercabs, even a higher volume car. And this is going to be for the whole earth, the sustainability moving forward. And not only is Elon focusing just on Tesla, he talks a lot about, you guys hear this all the time, that the human population is going down, people aren't having babies. We see this all across the world. So bringing bots into the scene to help the machine that makes the machine is something that's going to be like hedging all this. And we're going to see a lot of different companies doing this, and Elon's ahead of this once again. So he's going to be having these employees that are going to be working, that are going to bring down the cost of things as well. And so it's going to move things forward. So I think it's going to be exciting to see it happen. And I think the cybercab is going to be quite exciting to see how that takes place. So
I would add to on the bots, I would say that the big thing I want to see them do is not the easy job. Yes, today they can sweep, they can clean, they can polish. I want to see them doing the jobs that are too dangerous, too scary. And you know how much of the cost of labor is factored in for safety? Forget just the insurance, that's expensive, but building it around the safety necessary for humans, let's put them in the boring tunnel. You know, there's no need for ventilation. They'll do fine. If they get electrocuted, who cares? Haul them out, put another one in. So the bots they're gonna start by doing, I guess, the very easiest jobs, and then the very most dangerous jobs. And these are both classes of jobs that need to go away.
yeah.
So in terms of, you guys were saying that, oh, there's a million companies making bots. That's true.
Right.
That's true. And what's crazy about what Elon does, when he made Zip 2, he was jumping on a trend. But every trend since then, he didn't jump on, he created.
True.
So the electric car craze started with Tesla. The space craze, there's how many, a dozen space startups trying to get to orbit? That started with SpaceX. This weather control program, oh no, that's not a thing. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It'll pass. But all of them, Neuralink, there were companies kind of doing that, but not really pushing. The Boring Company, nobody was doing anything quite like it. So he's been out ahead of these new trends, and robotics is the same. My goodness. Can you guys still hear me? A little bit? I'm getting some little bit vibes. Boy.
Just start singing.
I will not start singing. No, a lot of these trends, you know, the big AI revolution kind of started with ChatGPT. Who founded OpenAI?
Elon Musk.
Elon founded it. And the same with the self-driving push. Companies had dabbled in it and given up. And what we're seeing with bots in the next 5 years, you can credit all these little companies for doing a huge job on it. But who was really pushing it in the beginning and who is still pushing it today? That's where I'd like to invest my money.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that Brian had mentioned that's really important to take home is there's a lot of human regulations about work that have hindered a lot of things moving forward, especially in first world countries. I mean, we've appreciated watching Giga Shanghai go up, but I know that China has a different kind of regulation for how much their workers work. I know Germany's pretty strict. I know that people joke around like cities like San Francisco. It's taken forever to put a public toilet in. I think like almost 2 decades. That's really ridiculous. But when they put bots into a lot of this work, there's a lot of things that the bots are going to be able to do that humans can't do. So this is going to make the machine that makes the machine much more efficient.
I agree.
I have a follow-up question for Alexandra on Tesla bots. So when Tesla starts, they are now starting to use this in the factory like Giga Texas. and they'll come up in more factories. What would it take for institutional investors to recognize Tesla Bot as a valuable part of the business?
Yeah, I mean, what is always interesting for me, you know, I was a fund manager in my life, so I know how dumb fund managers can be because it was me. It's how long it takes them to actually acknowledge a business line and then project it outwards, right? So you had a lot of fund managers that have their car model and they have their 15, 20% margin and they sleep well because they know it all, right? No FSD, no nothing. Oh, there we go. Okay. But they have no robotaxi model and they have no bot model. So your question is very valid. When will it come? Well, as long as it's in the factories, they will not understand. They may see it as an improvement in general expenses because there will be less personnel cost, right? But they will not think this through. But once they know a selling price, once they know whether it's a leasing model, once they know that there is outside demand, then they will put it in, which is much too late. Because the use case, the first use case is Tesla's own use case. They don't see that, but what can I do, right? I can only talk.
And that's why the retail investors are here supporting Tesla. Now, I've got a question for Brian. Now, Tesla has a long track record of partnering with other Elon Musk companies to improve. Tomorrow, we are going to see the Cybertruck here at 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Yeah? And that Cybertruck, again, so many people put in so much hard work, the Tesla Club Austria team, a lot of people behind the scenes. Now, let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
And the steel of the Cybertruck is the same steel for Starship, the same rocket that will put us on the moon and on the Mars. So there's collaboration there. It's one example between Tesla and SpaceX. How else can Tesla collaborate with other Musk companies in the next 5 years?
So that's a great question, and it's pretty crazy. When you think about it, you've got every major company that makes cars has their own metallurgists, but they're not the best of the best. They're the good enough for the good enough product. So if you look at, we need to make a gigacasting. They, of course, would rely on the metallurgists of SpaceX because these engineers know this business better than anyone. Ford doesn't have someone like that they can reach out to. They would have to, spend millions and millions of dollars finding a firm to then pay them to do the work. Other examples would, an easy one, the boring tunnel. It runs Tesla cars. Today, it's a dumb use. You just need any electric car today because FSD isn't ready. But the minute it's ready, everything changes. The Cybercab has built-in customers that are going to change it overnight. And then, and if you look at any of these companies, Starlink could be transmitting down to the cars, doing over-the-air updates in the outback in places where there is no Wi-Fi. Is that critical? Maybe. But it would be a very easy use case to see the companies crossing over like that. And the companies, if you look at engineering graduates are polled every year in the US and they say, what's your dream job? Where do you want to go? And consistently, number one and number two are Tesla and SpaceX. And you know what? It's a shame because SpaceX got this guy and I really wanted him at Tesla, but they're allowed to change companies within the family. So if your passion is, let's say you're doing that metallurgy, you're looking at those castings and you say, you know what, this is what I want to do, you can just change companies like that. Oh, we got a little friend. So in terms of the synergy, these things will all work together and do great work.
Can you share, who are you? Can you introduce your name?
Hello.
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 Say hello to our fourth panel speaker.
So the synergy looking out 5 years, we had a chance to talk a little bit before we got started because we know what the topic is. And Daren pointed out, where was Tesla 5 years ago? Who could see it into what it is today? Now, I could see some of it, and I was pretty proud that I could. We were watching the Shanghai factory go up, and when I decided to invest, it was on the strength of Fremont and the not yet finished Shanghai, because I felt that I could see a little bit further than the analysts could. And then the megapacks, the stationary storage came online, and I kept looking at the analyst reports trying to find out where is this in the paperwork. They're not counting it. And they wouldn't count it. Some of them still don't, but they didn't start counting it until it was generating billions of dollars. So when will they count the robot? That's a tough question. And the short answer is, yeah, I think you're right. When the labor cost is slightly reduced, but I don't know how well they'll, like you said, I don't know how well they'll recognize it. And so, yeah, I think trying to guess what it is in 5 years is going to be tough, because with the AI shift coming, with the bot shift, with autonomy, if you look at when the era of sailboats ended and steamships began, all the sailors knew, yeah, you know what? Cargo and people will arrive faster. And that's easy to understand. But the whole world changed. And if we're going into a world where anyone can get around, where everyone has affordable mobility, where bots can keep you in your home longer, your small business healthier for longer, the whole world is going to change. And I can't see what's coming in 5 years, but I am pretty excited to see it, and I am investing accordingly.
Thank you, Ryan. Now, one last question for all of you. Imagine a world 5 years from now. Today, I believe most of us drove to Tesla take over Europe in autopilot. But we still have to park our car ourselves. We still have to supercharge ourselves. In 5 years' time, I imagine a world where maybe half of us take a robot taxi here. Maybe most of us have full self-driving. The Tesla bot will not just be on stage, but it'll be moving around us. And so when Elon Musk says that Tesla is going to be an AI company, when Dave Lee shows us all the S-curves where Tesla is now more than a car company, an energy company, an AI company, a robot company, what milestones do you want to see? 5 years from now is 2029. In 2029, what must you see Tesla produce for you to say, yes, it is really an AI company?
Okay, here I am. Well, I'll be 5 years older, and I got it to you too. So what is going to be so much more helpful is really the bot, right? I mean, at the moment, we're used to driving our cars, especially you in Europe have unfortunately not the chance yet to trying it as much as we do in California and in the United States. But the bot will make the biggest difference ever. And I always try to explain to people who tell me, oh, look, the large language models, they're already up there. What's there to come? Vision is something completely different. Close your eyes and think how much less you can do without vision. And that will give you a span of how much more the bot will be able to do than any language model. Because being able to be in 3D space and be by yourself, independent, is such a breakthrough. I mean, I just can't understand that people don't see it, but let it be. And in 2029, we will be there. These bots will be everywhere. And it will not only be Tesla bots, but the Tesla bots will be the ones manufactured in largest scale, in best quality, and in best use case.
So what milestones am I looking for? I guess I would say the first time it's in a workplace. With FSD, for me, the first milestone was, can it actually navigate a neighborhood? To me, that was a big deal once I could see it do that. Can it get on and off the freeway? Can it know the appropriate time to get out of the left lane? It does that sometimes now, and I'm very excited. But for bots, the first use case, show us it doing a job unsupervised. To me, that's step one. And if I can leave the office at night and know that when I come back in the morning, the task is complete and the place hasn't been burnt down, that's milestone one. And I guess the next milestone is can I train one bot to do every job on a system and then have every bot a specialist on that? Because if the fry cook is out, I need someone who knows how to, guess what? All of your bots know all of the jobs in your factory. You don't need a backup for each department, but one for all the departments. And the Tesla's vehicles are so good at self-monitoring, and I assume the bots will be the same way, where they're checking themselves all the time and saying, I've got an actuator that's gonna go out. And the part could already be ordered, or a replacement bot to swap in while that one literally takes himself back to the factory for refurbishment. So those are some of the milestones that I would look for.
Any from you, K10?
Yeah. As far as me, I hope to see Grok. I think we see Grok on X. I hope to see Grok fully integrated into Optimus. I don't know if it'll be called Grok, but it'll be used probably as something as a model that will be in there. So I hope to see these bots going around, as well as a full LLM in them, the large language model, to be inside them and working around doing things. We see OpenAI do different things. We say Gemini. We see all these different groups working with these language models for AI. But what Tesla has is they've got a bot. They've got the body that they're going to already be ramping up to work with this and move forward. So there's one thing about these different industries. I think people saw Cruise, where it is right now. That president is working to do the bot company. But they still have to make all that hardware, and they're still working with that. Tesla has a whole lot of different departments. They're already ramped up from software, hardware to AI, and they're going to be putting them in these bots moving forward. It's not something they're going to have to wait slowly to ramp on. And that's one thing that Elon does, is he delivers. He ramps things up and he actually gets production going. A lot of people, a lot of different CEOs have great visions in companies, but we're going to be seeing these bots walk around with the AI in them, and that's going to be really exciting. That's what I look forward to.
And I would add to that, yeah, if I can build an AI, but I don't have a bot, I'm done. If I can build a bot with AI, but I don't have a factory, what are you going to do? Who is going to be able to compete with the manufacturing scale of Tesla? Because and that's what Boston Dynamics just learned, is they spent 20 years building their Atlas bot in a way that could never be mass produced. And the only thing, I guess its mission objective was to raise more money. Yeah. Good job, it succeeded. But they threw it out. They've rebuilt one that's much simpler, that can actually be, hopefully for them, produced. But we've got to have all of the pieces together to make it work. And I'd love to see a Grok. I would love to see that. I would love to be able to, when I'm navigating and I want to add a stop, say, take me to a coffee shop that's on my way, not behind me 10 minutes, and have it be able to just understand. Yeah. It's little, but boy, would that make your life that much better.
And one thing I want to say about Elon is not only is we've got the machine, we've got the gigos, the things that make the bots that are going to make more and do things, is Elon is reiterating in his mind. He's somebody who's able to ramp up these visions over and over again and do things. Got a lot of new companies that do things, and a lot of them are iffy if they're going to survive. But the one thing about Elon is he does deliver, and we're going to be moving forward with things that will deliver. And I think as we look back 5 years, 2019, a lot of people are like, there was Cybertruck. They should have had it delivered before then. But we went through a pandemic. I mean, we had steel plants shutting down in China. We had so many companies that didn't even survive. Tesla survived. Tesla thrived. Moving forward, the world's maybe a little mixed up. Maybe it'll go smooth. But Tesla, I think, is going to do really well because it's been delivering, and Elon leading that as the visionary and as the CEO, it's been doing really well.
5 years ago, we weren't sure the company was going to survive. Now, I think I was pretty sure. I think everyone on this stage was pretty sure. But there was credible concerns that, if Shanghai doesn't hit their numbers, if the stock stays too low, there's a lot of bonds that are convertible that may end up needing to be repaid with actual dollars instead of shares. There were existential risks back then, and today, I don't see those same risks. Today, I see the biggest bets in the company still being small compared to the total picture. And I don't know, in 5 years, who knows, man? Who knows?
You think about all our trips coming here today. A lot of us use the supercharger network, and we saw so many non-Tesla EVs. And we see in the US that the Tesla charging has become the standard as well. And one of the milestones I see 5 years from now is that FSD will not just be on Tesla cars, but Ford, BYD, Volkswagen, all the different car companies, even Toyota will license FSD. That even the car rental companies like Hertz or ride-sharing companies like Uber will use robo-taxis.
Do you want to spend $2 billion to $10 billion to not build your own FSD, or do you want to just license it?
Exactly.
And the other day, the president of NVIDIA, I think it was on the news, and he said, look, in the future, every car is going to be autonomous, and right now Tesla has the lead. And that's saying a lot because these guys, NVIDIA has a lot of hardware out there for self-driving. For them to acknowledge that someone else is the leader takes a lot. And the same,
Beidou,
yes, and the same is true with the bots. A lot of these bot companies are leaning on NVIDIA's AI generation ecosystem, and if it works, that's great. But if it doesn't, you've got 100 companies that bet on the wrong horse.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing your perspectives. Now, while we may see more Tesla bots, more Teslas, more superchargers, some things a robot cannot replace. We've got Simon over there who helped program our beautiful light show last night.
Thank you, Simon.
Tesla bot can't do that. Thank you, Simon. Not yet. We have all of you from more than 20 countries around the world coming down. That hard Tesla bot can never replace that. And we appreciate all of you being here today. As we come to a close, I would love to invite the panel for a Wi-Fi with the audience. So everyone stand here,
right here.
look, and then look at the stage. I'll take a photo for all of you. And everyone in the audience, you'll be part of the photo as well.
Please, join us.
Brian, come.
Okay, everyone. Okay, everyone smile. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much again to Alexandra, to K10, and to Brian for being here.
Vote, vote, vote.
Please vote. And you can get a chance to speak with them after this panel in the influencer tent behind. Thank you so much. Dankeschön. Bye-bye.